It's a Victory Monday, partner, and I just thought about it. This is our second show of the day, technically, because we finished up at like 1:30 a.m. Eastern early this morning. So with that, glad you're with us here on this Friday, November 8th. Week 10 is officially commenced with a Ravens victory, and Sarah, through 10 weeks, Baltimore is 7-3 overall with a little mini bye week ahead of them now. They'll hit the road November 17th for a game with the Pittsburgh Steelers, but 35-34 in an instant classic, as we discussed at length in last night's instant reaction episode. Go check that out after this one if you haven't already done so. But I'm Bobby Trossett, as always, joined alongside Sarah Ellison. Today's live stream is brought to you by our friends at Manta Sleep. And we've got a number of different things to get to, including off the top, as we did just over a month ago, Sarah, this dejected state, this defeated state, whatever, this bleak and empty state, to go with the headline that we chose. But whatever you want to say, I mean, this is just, if you're Cincinnati, I don't think we maybe talked about that enough until the end last night, just how much of a gut punch this was from a Bengals perspective, being that they've now had two heartbreakers decided by 4 points combined, and yet they're 0-2 in them.
First of all, Bobby, I want to say you're running off of 2 hours of sleep. I'm running off of 3. Therefore, I'm going to give you the first, help here. It's Victory Friday, not Victory Monday. That's number
What did I tell you before we came on?
You said your
brain
was mush. You said your brain was mush. Yes.
I said 2 minutes ago before we hit the intro. Sarah, I hope I don't have any lapses over the course of the next hour. And within second 2 of the show, I give you a lapse.
Yeah. Listen, I bet everybody's tired, though. Everybody was up late for the game. So, listen, we may be enjoying the Bengals tears, if you will, quote unquote, a little bit this morning, because the Ravens did exactly what they wanted to do and do as much as they could that was within their power to ruin their season. So we're going to take a look at Joe Burrow, Ja'Marr Chase, get the reactions to just losing and what it means for them in their season. But also, and this is where I give them, especially Burrow, some respect, we got their reaction on the officiating, because we know that those in Cincinnati weren't very happy with those final plays. So we got that. But Bobby, we got so much more. We're going to talk about the Ravens defense, Marlon Humphrey's long speech he kind of gave to the media and calling out the secondary, that they're not living up to the Ravens standard. I pulled some Shannon Sharpe stuff on how ticked off he was at the safeties and getting into the, X's and O's and nuts and bolts of that. Kirby on during the broadcast also got after safeties. We'll look at that. And then Lamar Jackson. We could have had like 3 or 4 different leads today. Lamar Jackson and just the type of season he's putting up, and the perfect analogy that Bart Scott had comparing him and Patrick Mahomes to another great duo in the past.
That enough for you guys today? Well, hopefully that's enough.
All of this new stuff, and we logged off less than 11 hours ago.
Oh,
so
yeah.
We got tons of content.
And already 5 minutes into the stream, approaching that 1,000 concurrent number. We're glad you're here. Like the video on the way in, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell. You know the drill. It's time to talk about Week 10 in depth.
Well, let's start with Joe Burrow. Let's get his immediate reaction to putting up crazy numbers. Him and Ja'Marr Chase were insane last night. Joe Burrow, 428 passing yards, 4 touchdowns. Ja'Marr Chase, 264, 3 touchdowns. Ja'Marr Chase up there with Jerry Rice in terms of multiple career games with 225 plus receiving yards and 2+ touchdowns. Only those two have done that multiple times in their career. Joe Burrow was back there. He was carving the Ravens secondary apart, but he was doing it with lots of pressure, getting hit a lot. He played a near perfect game. It's just that there was one Lamar Jackson that played better. So how is he feeling on this? I guess Friday morning he was reacting because the game was over. It was early in the early hours this morning. Oh, Bobby, I would not have wanted to be in that locker room. He is just completely down and out right there. He's just empty, clearly bleak, and certainly frustrating when, I have to give him his props. He's not throwing his his team under the bus, just like Lamar Jackson never does. And he's just like, what do you do? And they're like, is it frustrating? He's like, yeah, it's frustrating. It's frustrating. So all I could hear, though, Bobby, while he was talking was
the broom.
The broom.
The broom.
That's all I could hear.
It has to be excruciatingly frustrating because this is a team that just got worked by the 22nd ranked pass rush win rate front. And after all the noise around the deadline, Sarah, let's give some credit where credit is due here. The Ravens defense recorded 40 pressures against Cincinnati last night. 40 of them. Joe Burrow had 56 passes. No wonder why he's frustrated. I mean, he was under duress all night long. Pass rush answered the bell. We'll get to the secondary later on in just a couple minutes. But the pass rush was early and often impactful. And I'd also be frustrated when my head-to-head with Lamar Jackson hasn't exactly gone in my favor if I'm Joe Burrow. He's now 1-6 versus Lamar. But this season alone, it's been box office, the two of them. And a very, very thin margin for error. Hey, look at the numbers. Just under 1,500 combined passing yards between these two in 2 games. 17 total touchdowns and that one pick. We all remember whose pick that was. Joe Burrow, Marlon Humphrey setting up the Ravens in game 1 when they played in week 5. But these two have been absolutely spectacular.
They have been absolutely spectacular, but the biggest number on that screen is to your left. Joe Burrow is 1-6 versus Lamar Jackson. Lamar, as spectacular as they have been with each other, it's Lamar who has finished time and time again. And that's even with Jamar Chase going off. Now here we just saw Joe Burrow. Let's look at Jamar Chase. What was his reaction? I would never in a million years expect me and him to be playing this well and yet to have this record. So, and you know what, though? Like, the Bengals only have themselves to blame. Why they always come into September being completely unprepared. And so they gift away easy wins early. And then you're coming up into a division opponent that you haven't been able to beat in years in the Ravens. So Ravens took care of business. We wouldn't want to hear that type of locker room in Baltimore. No, Baltimore knew, and this is what's crazy, Bobby, is you said it before. You called them the more desperate team. It's in part why you picked them, right? And Jay Morrison was like, desperate. Well, they feel more urgency. They definitely, whatever you want to call it, more urgency, more desperation. The Ravens answered the call, and this is what I've been asking for from the Ravens, is learn how to be the top dog. Learn how to be the measuring stick. You're the measuring stick. And that means everybody's coming at you with their absolute best. The Chiefs are still the ultimate measuring stick. It's the only team out there that's a bigger measuring stick than the Ravens. But the Ravens, for all other 30 teams, they're the measuring stick. They're going to get the best, the absolute best. And then you're going to get a division opponent who knows you. The Bengals know Lamar. They know him. They know. They've done it twice now. They slowed Derrick Henry twice now. This is what you have to do to be great, where everybody's looking up at you and circling their calendars, and they're in a desperation mode. They're in an urgency mode, and it wasn't enough. And it wasn't enough because Lamar Jackson, as good as Joe Burrow was, Lamar Jackson was better. He was better, especially in that second half. And so it is the Ravens who delivered the gut punch rather than vice versa. And therefore, they're the dejected locker room. And the Ravens, at least on the offensive side, is celebrating.
Think about how much of a gut punch this is. There have been 2 instances in NFL history where a quarterback has had 30-plus completions, 300-plus passing yards, 4-plus touchdown passes, multiple 40-plus yard touchdown passes, and no more than 1 interception, and yet still lost the game. Those 2 instances, Sarah, have come this year, and it's the last 2 times that Joe Burrow has played the Ravens, and he's 0-2 with these stats. That's what makes you feel bleak and empty.
That's why it's a gut punch.
That's why it's a gut punch.
Yeah.
And look, everybody in the live, there's some people in the live chat. Look, you don't think Joe Burrow is deserving of some flowers here? The guy's playing unbelievably. The Ravens were the better team.
Yeah, and I have seen some of the chat say, well, do you think that other people would give Lamar's flowers? I mean, I just listened to Chad Ochocinco last night saying if the Bengals can't win it all, he wants Lamar Jackson to win it all. He said, and the MVP race right now, Lamar Jackson deserves it as well as his quarterback is playing. So yes, you just give respect where it's due for sure. But obviously in Baltimore, we're happy with the outcome, and we're happy to see that they're the ones searching for answers, whereas the Ravens will also search for answers on defense, but with a win in their pocket. Now, Bobby, let's kind of shift gears here. Unless, do we have some super chats to get to? Okay.
Oh, yeah. Captain Hard says, I wouldn't mind taking some risk on some free agents. Can't get any worse. Love the win. The show makes it better. Thanks for the content. Captain also says, we are effed on defense. LMAO. I'm sorry. Shaking my head. And Jemmy says, what can honestly be done for the defense? We're going to talk all about that coming up. And Not a Fan says, I'm just hoping Lamar doesn't have to start paying child support on Joe Burrow at this point. Nobody cares about Burrow's stats. Work harder.
Nobody cares. Work harder. There we go. Well, shifting gears here. Obviously, on that final drive, the final attempted 2-point conversion, much controversy going on. Maybe more among fan bases, because in all the places I've listened to so far, and granted, listen, it's off of 3 hours of sleep. I've been trying to get as much content as possible, so obviously I could have missed stuff. But I'm seeing plenty of former players saying, okay, that officiating at the end, the holding, I know one Bart Scott did not think that was holding. He was like, no. Gesicki was trying to play what's the NBA players? Manu Ginobili, where he's like, he hooked him with his arm, and he's the one who brought him in, and then he tried to like flop and get this holding call. So he wasn't buying that. And then let's bring this in. Bart Scott also says, okay, well, if you really want to call that hand to the helmet, face mask, he said that offensive lineman is pulling Travis Jones down. And so if we're going to get ticky-tack, says Bart Scott, then you got to call the holding. And then they can just offset. So I'm just seeing the vast majority of people saying, look, even if they are penalties, neither one impacted the play. Neither one impacted the play because he was going to his other tight end, not Gesicki. He was there. That was his first read. That's where he went. And on this one, the hand went to the helmet after the play. So in other instances where a flag is so egregious that you can't even get a playoff, then it's like, okay, that's messed up. Like really messed up. So I think, Bobby, if we're playing letter of the law, I think they could have thrown those flags. I do. But is it the lack of those flags right here that the reason why they lost? Like they got the ball off, they called the timeout, they got the read they wanted, and then Joe Burrow went to his read. He never looked to his left. He never looked there. So at the end of the day, these supposed, I don't even want to say supposed, I think missed calls. I think it was correct for them to swallow the whistle. In these moments, I do not want the referees deciding the moment if the infractions do not have an impact on the play. What about you?
Well, I just find it ironic, like I said in the postgame show, that they swallowed them.
Yeah.
Because all game long, what was the story? The story is let them play.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my. Let them play. We know all the pub that the officiating crew got from Jay Morrison and company. It's well documented. Going into Week 10, the flag happiest officiating crew league-wide, both in penalties called and yards negated. And at times you're just thinking, yeah, to use the word ticky-tack, you can name a few of them. I know Brandon Stevens is probably feeling some type of way this morning on that conversation. But I'm with you. And Joe Burrow said that himself, actually having listened to the entire press conference.
Yep.
He's like, I'm not expecting anything there.
And here he is saying it. Here he is saying it, Bobby.
Did he get held on that? Did you get hit in the face on that? I mean, they could have called a couple of things there, it looked like.
Yeah, you're not getting those calls in that situation for the most part.
A couple maybe.
Yeah, so I got to be honest, in terms of Joe Burrow in that post game presser and on the field, I think like he gained my respect in terms of a guy that's not whining. He's like the antithesis to Tom Brady. He's even the antithesis to his own teammate in Gesicki, who was whining every 2 seconds. Like every 2 seconds. Like he just kept getting up. And I will say there was another one that I saw after the game where Marlon Humphrey nailed him really late. Like the ball was drilled him. And the ball had long been out, Bobby.
And Joe was visibly in pain.
Oh, he was grimacing on the sideline. Yeah. So that one could have been called. Now listen, just to Ravens fans would probably want to speak up for the things that maybe were missed on the other end. Ravens fans sent me screenshots and videos of the 4th down conversion where they feel like the ball didn't survive the ground and it could have been done right there. I honestly don't think there was enough there to overturn it. It does touch the ground, but he's also got his arm underneath it. So the nose kind of touches it, but his arm's underneath it. So
he nestled that thing in there.
Yeah.
On Thursday Night Football, think about the amount of looks that you have in the angles. You couldn't necessarily get a conclusive look at where that football was.
Right. But
it
listen,
was hidden.
But listen,
he hit that thing.
Like we want to be as objective as possible. And at the same time, I'm not feeling sorry for him. Like the Ravens have been through this a gazillion times. And like I said, especially on the 2-point conversion, like they appropriately swallowed the whistles. It did not impact the game. And so props to Joe Burrow, not even expecting it. He's like, no, they're not going to call the whistle in that situation. Like he didn't even expect it.
Yeah, we're just acknowledging how refreshing that is.
Yeah.
And guess what? Lamar would do the same exact thing if he were on the other side. So it's just, that's a part of their greatness, those two guys. I loved that. I enjoyed that. And even in such a, you know what makes it even more impressive, Sarah? Clearly in this dejected, exhausted, defeated state, is easy to unload on something that you're frustrated about.
Totally.
When you have a microphone in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
Emotions can get the best of us. And he stood true to him. So I was just, I thought it was an impressive display of composure.
Yeah, I do want to say one other thing before I move on to one other thing where I think the Bengals fans should really be angry at. But Travis Jones on that play absolutely ran over that offensive lineman. Like that was like, it just reminds me of like, it's the game is on the line and he's like, well, here I go. I'm just going to like bull rush this dude. I'm just going to bull rush him. And in part, the guy where Bart Scott is saying it was a hold bringing him down. In part, he was just trying to like hold on for his dear life, the offensive lineman. Like Travis Jones straight up bull rushed that guy. And Joe Burrow was off. He missed the target. And I honestly think it was because Travis Jones got pressure in there. Like you can feel that pressure coming right up into your face. Like it's one thing to have pressure coming out from one of your sides and then you can kind of like move out and go the other way. But when it's like coming up in your face and like it like makes your base not quite what it would be technique wise. And he missed the throw. Yeah. He missed it. And I just think Travis Jones deserves huge props for that.
I think Travis and the push that he gets when fully healthy, which I don't know if he's fully healthy coming off that ankle injury, but clearly he was healthy enough to be impactful, sets off a chain reaction. And I don't think it's a coincidence that Justin Madubuike had a career day when it comes to the trifecta in sacks, a couple tackles for loss, the push that these guys were getting up front in that interior. That was what you needed.
Yeah.
They answered the call. There was a lot of noise about this group over the course of the week, deservingly so. But 40 pressures on 56 passes that Joe Burrow attempted, that's going to get the job done. Let's get some super chat donations.
Okay.
Asmodeus, a.k.a. Richard, a.k.a. pregame co-host, a.k.a. wingman. What's up, Asmodeus? As a fan, that was the most exhausting game I went live to. I can only imagine how tired the players are. That's the other thing. When these guys get up in front of the mic, they They just sat through 3 or 4 hours worth of a brute force type of rivalry game. Marcus says B. Steve got robbed. I think we're referencing that penalty, the holding. Chris, or was it a DPI? Let me see. I have a note on it. Brandon Stevens, holding. Crystal dropping in a super chat donation. Bosef wants to know where your coffee is, Sarah.
You don't drink coffee.
Drink coffee. Yeah. Habitual says, now that we're past this overhyped rivalry, on to Pittsburgh, the real rivals. They've been dominating this division with Kenny Pickett at QB. 6-1 is cute, but that 2-4 is what really matters. Thanks, Habitual. And Tinsay says, all means nothing. Excuse me, I got something. Tinsay says,
now you're sounding like me.
I know. Tinsay says, all means nothing. Best team of the regular season, as they've seen in the past. You can run the table 14-2 and have an early exit. Hopefully the Ravens have bigger plans. Sarah, before we continue, this episode is brought to you by our friends at Manta Sleep, the official sleep mask partner of us here inside the vault, and we're so appreciative of Manta and the Manta Sleep Mask Pro for providing awesome sleep. I didn't use this thing last night, obviously. 2 hours is 2 hours. There's nothing I could have put on through Manta that would have helped me out last night. But that does not take away from what they do, Sarah, and that is enhance your sleep. They give you true 100% blackout for a deeper sleep, these masks do. C-shaped eye cups give you unbeatable side sleep comfort if that's something you prefer. Zero pressures applied to your eyelids or lashes. You've got advanced materials built in with ventilation for unmatched breathability. And this is just one of the many masks, including the Bluetooth sound mask that Sarah's kids love to rock. All this can be found at mantasleep.com. We have a pinned comment in the live chat if you're interested in getting a head start on the holiday campaign and whatnot and the gift giving side of things. Our discount code, if you find something you like on site, is VAULT10. That is VAULT10. And that'll get you 10% off your next purchase. Thank you again to Manta for all the support and continuing to sponsor our channel. Sarah, where to next?
You know what my coffee is, Bobby?
What?
My coffee was my leg workout this morning.
Nice.
Got a good leg day in. Leg day.
You're
all
a
right,
beast
so
for getting up and doing that.
If Bengals fans want to complain about something, and this is why I'm glad Joe Burrow wasn't complaining, they should complain about Joe Burrow not going to Jamar Chase on that 2-point conversion.
Yeah.
Get Up talked about that this morning. I got some screen grabs here. I'm shocked that's not what they did. Check this out.
Is it the right decision by Burrow?
To not throw to Chase?
Yes.
I don't know. I didn't see Chase on there. He says he's always open. Was he?
Here we go.
Let's see.
The all 22s. We got the one-on-one matchup at the top of the screen.
Boy, it'd be tough to pass up a one-on-one with Chase. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's always going to be the thing. You got Brandon Stevens, who's been abused the entire night, and Jamar Chase to the top of the screen. I would have liked him to be closer to Joe Burrow. Let's put him at number 2. Let's put him at number 3 and give him one of those one-on-one matchups that you expect him to win. But when a dude has been as dominant as Jamar is, I think that's a conversation that you have to have as Zach Taylor and Joe Burrow, that nobody gets this attempt but him.
He wasn't open.
Yeah, but my question is, why are you doubling the 2 tight ends and not Jamar Chase? Like, it worked.
So the Ravens got lucky.
Yeah,
Okay, so
absolutely.
If you watch before they called the timeout, they motioned to 3-by-1.
Yeah.
That's the ball that you want to throw, and that's a play you want to hike to give Jamar Chase a bunch of space.
He's on the backside
on the
at that
backside
point.
on the 3-by-1. I thought that Zach Taylor, I thought he outsmarted himself. When he called the timeout to see what the coverage was, he had what they wanted. So the Ravens adjusted and doubled the 2 inside guys because they knew they were going to pivot out. And at that point, I know Jamar Chase says he's always open. He's not open right there.
Yeah.
This is a great undercut anticipation, seeing that it was going to be a dig route and not a 7 route.
What do you think? Bart Scott said he's not open. He looked open to me, Bobby. He looked open
In
to
the
me.
screenshot, Brandon's got him stride for stride. But I think when you go back and look at the replay, when you think about those tight windows that Burrow's capable of fitting, that's a suspect decision.
Yeah.
You know, Jamar did mention it post-game, correct?
Jamar did. Jamar said that he wanted the ball.
Kelsey Conway there, friend of the show, Kelsey Conway asking the tough questions there. People are making more of that than they should be.
Yeah.
You know, people are saying that he's calling out Joe. Come on, go watch the press conference. I watched the whole thing. He was not in the slightest. But
Well, yeah. I mean, he could.
wasn't. He just wasn't. You go back and watch it. It's crazy. People
No,
are
because
pulling
he
out
did
of
say earlier,
context.
never in a million years. But
Yeah,
it's neither here nor there. That's something for them to
Sure.
work out.
Sure,
I think
sure.
the point is instead of like everybody's asking why we're covering this, like why are we talking about the Bengals? First of all, the chat is always upset if we talk about anything other than exactly that's within the window. We can't talk about opponents apparently on the vault.
Right, because
no, we will
Sarah,
be
if we
talking about
do,
opponents. We're going to be talking about huge plays within the game. We're going to talk about those
Right.
things.
right.
And we will do that unapologetically. That's
And
number
Sarah,
one.
remember too, if we do, in their minds, we actually morph into the Bengals vault. I wasn't sure if you were aware of that.
Yeah, no, I'm aware.
We morph into the Bengals vault.
Get it? Like us covering the game is somehow morphing. Get out of here. You missed me.
We got
with
time
that,
this
for
morning.
sure.
Listen, 2 hours, 3 hours. We got time this morning, chat. You want to run it up? Run it up this morning. We got some time.
And the whole point of it, number two, one point is that we're gonna cover the key plays of the game. Number two is the whole point of it is that if you're whining about officiating and acting like the officials want it for the Ravens, what you should be pushing back against is no, y'all lost it because you made a poor decision not going to Jamar Chase, who was putting up historic numbers in that game. So that's the point of it. It wasn't the officiating that lost it. The Bengals lost fair and square. That's why we're covering it. And because it was a huge play of the game. It was the deciding factor at the end of the game. So that is that. Now, we can move in more into Ravens-specific stuff, although I don't think people are going to like it because we're going to start hitting the defense here.
And why don't we just get fully caught up to speed on Super
Chat.
Chat donations? Not a fan says at some point we got to talk about Ronnie Stanley being on pace to be a Pro Bowler. We're about to have to figure out his extension and Kyle Hamilton's. Just in case you guys hit the hay early last night, John Harbaugh referred to Kyle Hamilton's ankle issue as a sprain, not a season-ending ordeal. Steven says, can we have an honest convo about Zach Orr?
Mm-hmm.
Nice feel, good hire, but we needed experience at that spot when we have a team that can compete for the Super Bowl. Doomgoy says Harbs and EDC have a hubris issue and it affects all. What's hubris? I don't even know what that word is.
No, here, let me make sure I got it right.
Hubris meaning?
Hubris, excessive pride or self-confidence. I
never heard of that in my life.
Do not agree with that. Do not
hubris,
agree.
Excessive pride or self-confidence. And we are fully caught up on Super Chats.
Okay, so want to switch over to the defense and what Marlon Humphrey had to say?
Definitely. And I'm happy to set this one up. So one of the longest tenured, if not the longest tenured, actually, he is the longest tenured Ravens defensive player. Marlon, former first rounder, of course, and off to what we're used to seeing this kind of year. Really, I mean, sort of definitely a Pro Bowler, dare I say, maybe on the cusp of an all-pro kind of year. The guy's got 5 total takeaways, 4 interceptions, which is top 5 in the league. And then, of course, one of the classic Marlowe punches that I feel like we haven't seen in quite a while. He got away. He did so effectively yesterday.
Well, he yanked it out. He didn't punch it.
That's
he
true.
Yanked it out. Yeah,
he did kind of yank it. Remember there was a couple years, several years ago, the peanut punch became the Marlon punch.
Right.
1 year. I want to say maybe that was 2019, right around there. But clearly, nevertheless, that turnover was a key shift in momentum that the Ravens were able to use to their advantage as a shot in the arm when Marlowe was able to do so. But I felt like within the last week, Sarah, we shared some audio from him in the locker room. I think we both agreed that serious Marlon, while there's so much more to his personality, serious Marlon showcases leader Marlon that maybe we don't always get to see from the outside looking in because of how goofy he is on his podcast, because of the Twitter back and his personality comes out in different ways online. But I thought this 2-minute I don't want to call it a rant, but an open and very brutally honest conversation about where this defense is through 10 weeks was very refreshing. Listen to Marlon.
He's just different.
And I should have said it better off the top. This is first about Jamar Chase, and then he expands on the defense as a whole.
Tired of that dude. He's just different. It's not even so much about the route he runs, whatever. It's just when he gets the ball in his hands, if you don't tackle him soon, it can get really ugly. So he's just he's a good player. It's you never really can count the Bengals out when he's on their team. He can. I think he had like 200, like over 250, which is rough. Man. That's it's getting. I've kind of his wins are getting harder to enjoy based off what we're doing in the pass defense. I feel like when I was a rookie, first-year guy, second-year guy, the vets I looked up to, the standard that was there, and the pass defense, we've really lost that standard, and I feel like that falls on me. And we're gonna keep chasing at it. We're gonna keep working at it because I'm not really satisfied with what I've built in the secondary, where it's gone. I just don't think playing like this we can go far. And it's cool we're winning. It's great we're winning, but I want to go far. I want to go to the end. And what we're playing, I can't. Something's got to change. We just got to play better. I got to play better. We all got to play better. We got to play as a unit, and we're just not doing that. So it's really nothing really more to say. We got to keep working. We got to take the practice to the game. Had a great practice week. What is missing there from how we're practicing to how we're playing in the game? It's become clear that it's something I think each guy has got to look at themselves in the mirror and figure out why are you not playing how you practice something. The practice is route concept. The game, you don't do it how you practice. So it's becoming more of a mental thing, I think. But we got to get that fixed. It's not cool to win a game and you look up and the team has 300 passing every week, and it'd be different if we didn't have no guys that could play. I haven't once heard anybody say we don't have the guys, we don't have the players, we don't have the skill. We're not doing it in practice. It's clear that it's something from when we do that last preparation to the game, what is happening in that span, and we got to figure it out. So that's it's pretty simple.
Whew. So Bobby, a few things from this that I really liked. First of all, I think he's the correct messenger on this because Marlon played well. Marlon twice against the Bengals is what saved the defense and got the one stop that was needed to put the ball back into Lamar Jackson's hands. And he's also the right messenger because, as he said, when he was a rookie first-year player, like those Ravens were setting up what the standard was. And he's saying, well, now I'm the leader and I got to bring that standard. And I felt like he was trying to do that with his play. Like Bobby, he was so physical last night, even beyond the forced fumble. Like everywhere he went, he was hitting hard. He was coming fast to the ball. I don't remember busted coverages on his end. Like he was just right there every time. The second thing, Bobby, is I feel like he's saying it in the right way, saying we have to do something where we're practicing it correctly and then we get into the game and we're not doing it correctly. Based off of looking at, some of the film, listening to football players around the league, I don't know if he's only calling out Marcus Williams, but I'm telling you, Marcus Williams is in that group.
As he should be.
As he should be.
And that's not all that Marlon mentioned either,
in
terms of the labeling and some of that brutally honest, not only self-assessment. I guess that's what was so refreshing about it. He might be referring, and probably is referring, to specific guys, specific plays, specific breakdowns in his mind. He's not coming out and saying those specifically, to your point. But he also held himself accountable too. This was a self-assessment as much as it was a team assessment, which he didn't need to do. I mean, he's playing at a Pro Bowl caliber level. He also noted, and we mentioned this on the postgame show, that his unit, this defense, is the little brothers of the team. And for those of you who have been lifetime fans of the Ravens, talk about the worst full circle moment, or at least a 180 that you can ever experience when you think about what the Ravens were founded on, Sarah, and what the Ravens won their first Super Bowl on in 2000. It was the defense, and the little brothers were the other side of the ball. This is not where you want to be 24 years later, but this is where they are, and your longest tenured defensive player is making that abundantly clear.
Abundantly clear, yes. Now, again, I agree that he's calling out the whole defense, but it's in part Marcus Williams, because I want to show you some of these clips. First of all, during the game, not Al Michaels. Who was it?
Herb Street.
Kirk Street. This is Jamar Chase's 70-yarder. I put some screen grabs over this, but I think you're gonna be able to see it.
You'll see it all right.
It's like, what are we doing, Marcus Williams?
Mm-hmm. Now let's watch Marcus Williams here. And give Bengals all the credit in the world, but he gets caught up with Gesicki, and then he just kind of gets lost. I don't know the coverage, so I don't know if he needs to be back there in center field, but obviously somebody needs to be helping 21 Stevens out. That's a mismatch one-on-one in an island. He needs somebody back there to be able to help him over top.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, he bit on Gesicki for sure. Then he sees that Jamar's running free. So he goes to drop back. But Bobby, look at this center screen grab here. Like, he's lost.
Yeah.
Where is he looking? Mm-hmm. And then, like, he's looking that way, and Jamar's about to catch this ball. I don't understand where is he? What is happening? And then before you know it, once he turns back, Jamar's gone. And I think you pointed this out last night. There was like a lack of effort at the end, which is why Jamar just sat there at the 1 yard line being like, are you guys going to make me go on the end zone?
I'm going to toy with you guys because this is what you deserve.
Yeah.
And Sarah, this is a completely separate screenshot and sequence than this, which was the 67-yarder.
Correct. Now,
and look at the angle he takes here.
It's a bad angle. It's a bad angle. And I'm going to get to Shannon Sharpe's breakdown of this. But let me just show you how PFF divided out how many yards were taken in coverage. Yeah. So they definitely, the one we just showed on the replay.
Yeah.
PFF, listen, we don't know for a fact whose assignments are what. But the Prime broadcast surely thought it was Marcus Williams. Sure looked like me that Marcus Williams should be back there. And PFF is attributing it to him too. That's why they have the 70-yarder on him.
Yeah, no question.
So they've given him three receptions in coverage for 82 yards. One of them was the 70-yarder. Mm-hmm. Okay, now the other long one that you just showed right there, this one, PFF is giving to Ardarius Washington.
Okay, is he getting blocked right here by 80?
No. Ardarius Washington is down here on the bottom of the screen because Ardarius had remember this was almost like a scramble then pass play because Joe Burrow was under duress again, and he's running out to the right, and then he steps up in the pocket and then gets Jamar Chase streaking across the field. Washington was there. He was just like trying to figure out what to do once everything had broken down. And so Ardarius Washington jumped for it, dove for it, and missed. So that's why they put it on him. But in this one, it's clearly you still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other guys. And then there's Marcus Williams again doing who knows what. He's like overly aggressive. So Shannon Sharpe talked about this on Nightcap last night with Ocho Cinco, talking about guys are just not doing their jobs. And he's specifically saying the safety, which I believe he's saying Marcus Williams here. Listen to this.
And then, Ocho, they in quarters coverage. Where the hell is the safety going?
Hold on. That's the perfect play call for quarters. Is the post route because the goddamn safety sitting on the hash down low.
Don't, Ocho. You got the backside. Don't jump the crossing route. No, Ocho. The quarter's playing quarters. He's got outside leverage.
Yeah.
How you if you playing outside leverage and I run a post, tell me how you stop it. If you playing outside leverage.
You got to stay high. Listen, I mean, for me, but they're gonna occupy that safety with the number 2 and get him to come down.
If you got quarters coverage, what is your quarter? Middle coverage. That's not yours, the crossing route. That's for Roquan Smith.
Right.
Bro, what the hell are you doing? That's not your responsibility.
Yeah.
You see what happens? He got beat because he's trying to do somebody else's job. The basic cross is not your responsibility. You're not Ed Reed. First of all, you're not qualified to play that. You're not Troy Polamalu. You're not an Ed Reed.
I said that last week, right?
I had not seen that until just now. That's an indictment, Sarah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because he did. I mean, you got to go back and watch the whole thing. I mean, this is one screen grab. But again, they PFF charges it to Ardarius Washington, which is correct because Ardarius Washington had him. But Marcus Williams was out of place to be like the deep guy, deep middle guy.
Yeah.
Because according to Unk, he's jumping the route that Roquan Smith was covering. And so it's true. Yes, we already know that the linebackers in coverage weren't great. So, but then if he's trying to compensate for them, which is his point, you're trying to do somebody else's job. So now you're exposed, and this is even worse because you can live with dinking and dunking all the way down the field with the linebackers. You don't want it. You want to get it fixed, but let the coaches and the inside linebackers fix that. You still got to do your job. So now you've let up a 64-yarder here. You're literally called the safety for a reason. Yeah. You're the last line.
Yeah.
And you got to stay there. Unless you're Ed Reed and you know when to jump it. And right now he's not playing that way. Like just do your job.
And now the big picture question that maybe is for the coming days ahead, coming off the benching, a great tackle for loss on snap 1 against the Broncos, right? Kind of quiet the rest of the way there, but certainly nothing egregious in a 41-10 route last weekend. You then follow up that game with last night. What do you do with Marcus Williams in this lineup? Do you give an opportunity to a couple of the young guys that have mostly just been special teamers, and Bo Braid or Sanusi Kane? Have you entrusted? Do you entrust them enough? Or do you entrust them with those kind of reps at this point in the second half? Now we're in the second half.
I mean, listen, this is only answers that or questions that they can answer inside of practice. But I mean, we've talked about, like you said, there's the young guys you could try, which only they know if they're ready because they're in practice. It doesn't seem like if you just wipe away the faces, you say, is an undrafted rookie or a 7th rounder going to be able to step in and be better? That's conventional wisdom says no, right? It says no, like they're 10 weeks into their rookie seasons and haven't gotten any experience, So then it's do you go to, we saw what Eddie Jackson did, so that's not an answer. It was a logical answer when it happened, but then you saw how he played. So then it's okay, well, can one of the corners move over? And so had the Saints accepted Eric DeCosta's reported offer of a 3rd-round pick for Marshawn Lattimore, then it's like, oh, for sure, let's do this.
Yeah.
So then the next question is, okay, well, let's get a look at Tre'Davious White and see if he's one of the top 6 guys and maybe have him at corner and move one of the corners to safety. And by the way, just to muddy this whole thing, we all don't know when Kyle Hamilton's coming back.
Yes. And it should be noted too, and I started to think about this morning. I mentioned it on my live stream. In 2019, the in-season acquisition that really gave the defense a jolt was Marcus Peters, who at the time had the most takeaways of anybody since he entered the league, which I believe was 2015. There's nobody like Marcus joining this team. There's nobody like Roquan Smith in 2022 coming to save this team.
Mm-hmm.
As Marlon said, they're looking at themselves in the mirror. That's the only option. Tre'Davious White is joining this team, but are you willing to put that kind of this is where I go mush. But 13 months removed from an Achilles tear, somebody that's got a lot of NFL miles under his tires, a healthy scratch over the last month because of the trade requests and poor play in Los Angeles. Are you really willing to kind of put all your stock in this guy turning the defense around? I mean, you hope that he can become a complementary piece for you, but he's not a Marcus Peters in 2019, and he's certainly not a Roquan Smith in 2022. The only thing that's going to save this defense is themselves.
Right. Like, and that's to your point. Like, obviously you just name him because he's somebody that's there. Like we're naming Sanusi Kane. We're naming all these guys because they're there. Now, are any of them really hopeful? No. Marcus Williams hasn't been hopeful. So there's not like, so on like, if it's not any of those that we just named those options, then the last option is hoping you just keep getting better. And it's what we're talking about. Bart Scott, I didn't have time to clip it, but Bart Scott was talking about it. And he said something similar to what we've heard before. He said, if you want to weaken another person's another team, you raid their coaching staff. And he went through all the losses that they've had on the defensive side as we have. And he said there just aren't enough teachers in there. He was like, last year they had so many fantastic teachers of like where to be and when, and like what the rules are of, when to do this or when to do that. And he's just like, they just don't have the teachers, which is why they brought in Dean Pease. Like they needed more teachers.
Yeah.
And maybe that was, John Harbaugh's mistake. Like one time he went with the young gun in Mike McDonald, but he also had 4 veteran coaches supporting him. And so he went with the young gun again, but this time there was no supporting staff. Although I think he thought, who was going to stay? Was it Weaver? So one of those guys was going to stay.
Weaver, Bernard.
Yeah.
I think it actually might have been Weaver. I think he was the last to go, wasn't he? Weaver.
Yeah.
No, who knows how.
But those are the options. Tre'Davious White, maybe enough to move a corner over, or you bring in one of the young guys, your 7th rounder or your undrafted safety, or you stick to this and just keep trying to get better. And Marcus Williams just staying where he needs to be. Don't jump anything. Don't try to be the hero. Just do your job and then become this bend but don't break kind of defense, which you obviously would take over Jamar Chase and all these long touchdowns in, a blink of an eye.
Tell you what, Dean Pease didn't look like too happy of a camper when the Amazon Prime cameras caught him up in that defensive booth for the Ravens. He was not happy.
I didn't see that.
Oh yeah. Real quick second. He did not look like a happy camper. Marcus, super chat donations. Marcus says it's time to play Tre'Davious. Move Stevens to safety. Again, Marcus Williams is no Ed Reed. He's Mr. Ed right now. Asmodeus says you give the rookies a chance to start a drive. He wants to see Bo and or Sanusi. Captain says move Marlon to safety. Start Tre'Davious. That's the only option. Cannot go back to Eddie. Adam Whittington dropping in a super chat donation. Appreciate you. Julian Chambers says my throat is shot. My pressure is high. And got the win, but I don't know what to do with the defense. It's up to the players to change it. On to Pittsburgh. Oh, by the way, Bobby, I'm one of the groomsmen at your wedding. Oh, Julian, you think there's a date already or what?
I love how many people are going to be at your wedding whenever it happens.
I mentioned it in passing real quick yesterday, but Madison did come on the pregame show for a couple minutes. I could barely hear her because of the live band that was at the Be More tailgate, but she was a good sport. So I think the live chat appreciated that.
At this point, I expect nothing less from Madison. I think she can hold her own in all these situations.
Yeah, I think so.
She's just fun and, fine with the spotlight on her.
Sure seems like it.
Yeah.
Not a fan says,
why can't they just, let me do this one.
Did I already read this one? Oh, sorry. I'm one ahead. Gosh. Okay. Yeah, you do this.
Okay. You were like staring. That was like a blank
into
stare.
A bitch. Yeah. I'm just like into a.
Why can't they just install last year's defense, or was a horrible hire, no experience at all, and to take this big of a risk in Lamar's window is criminal? I think they were trying to put in last year's defense, quite frankly.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Oh, we're not teaching it well."
Tongsley says, "What a mess," and an orange, by the way, an orange slide here.
Thank you.
By the way, I had no issue. Bare arms. That was not hard to read whatsoever. I'm literally like just teetering over here.
Yeah.
Tongsley says, "What a mess. My body's shutting down. I need sleep." Tongsley says, "What a mess. Glad Marlon is saying the obvious about this defense. We aren't winning anything with this type of play." Asmodeus, I'm wondering, would it be worth doing man coverage? I see a lot of failures happening in zone.
Were they man when they were suddenly getting those stops? Remember they got a couple stops in the fourth quarter.
Actually, I just saw a statistic in terms of what Joe's performance was against zone versus man.
Just yesterday?
Yep.
Okay.
Last night.
Let's see what you got here.
Zone coverage.
Yeah.
Joe against zone last night. 68.3% completion. 27 of 37. 368 yards. 3 touchdowns. 131.4 passer rating. In other words, when I give you these man coverage, Richard's
What was the passer rating? 141 what?
131.4.
Okay, 131.4.
Richard's onto something here. Man coverage. 31.7% completion.
Woo.
7 of 19. 60 yards, a touchdown, and a 63.5 passer rating.
Woo, that was like cut in half. Now, obviously, the sample sizes of the two are very different.
Yes.
But yeah. And by the way, the other change might be that you stop putting Stevens on your opponent's number 1 wide receiver. Can we do that?
Yeah. He's had a murderer's row. He's had Devontae Adams. He's had Jamar. He's had Terry McLaurin. He's had CeeDee Lamb for parts of that Dallas game. You name it. And
yeah,
as much as you appreciate, the team player that he is and the sticky coverage, he's been beat. He's been having a really tough contract year. No cornerback on this team has given up more yards. Thanks, Richard.
Dream says the Ravens secondary got to be present when Jamar Chase sits down for contract negotiations.
Oof.
Embarrassing.
No kidding. And shout out to Ryan Mink for putting those zone versus man coverage statistics together on Joe Burrow that I just read.
There we go. Should we end on a much more positive note? So yesterday we started with the positive note, which was Lamar Jackson, the offense.
Yeah.
And maybe we should just end with it and just how absolutely phenomenal he was. Like everything we've just been talking about, all the defensive shortcomings, well, they were overcome by Lamar Jackson. Let me see. Right now.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me first bring this up. Right now, through 10 games of the season, Bobby, he has already matched his passing touchdown total from last year when he was an MVP. He's got 24. He's got 24. Plus, I believe he has 2 more rushing. So that's 26 in the last 10 games, in the first 10 games. He is well on his way to getting 40 for the year.
Oh.
Well on his way.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And
this
on
is
top
such a
of
part
it,
of his game this year. Like it's
Bobby, the touch on his passes, and how many times was he just orchestrating, like the one to Bateman when he did, the 3-pointer. It was just like, hey, I'm running here. Make sure you go over here. And it's all slow motion for him. Yeah. It's Madden for him. He's on cruise control and just like touches it in. Yeah. Same thing to Mark Andrews when Mark Andrews, did his own thing on the route. Yeah. And so much so that the reporters asked about it and they were like, how did you know where to go? He's like, listen, we've been playing together a long time. We're in sync, me and Mark,
You guys forgot?
or like the touch to, well, I mean, he was wide open, but Nelson Aguilar. And then, the one to Tylan was all Tylan. Like Tylan for sure boosted Lamar's stats a little bit on that one.
With a key forced missed tackle right there on the left sideline, which obviously
2 forced.
Yeah. That initial one, though, was awesome.
And as bad as
guy had him dead to rights.
And as bad as Geno Stone looked on that, sure would still like to have Geno Stone right now.
No kidding.
But yeah, so let's look at 2023 to 2024 through the first 10 games. Both times Ravens are 7-3. But but he had 10 pass touchdowns to 24 this time, 5 interceptions to 2, 481 rushing yards to 538. I mean, he's on his way. I mean, he's totally on his way. The guys that get up, we're talking about, is he the MVP? Everybody was on the same page, except for one guy who's off in left field.
Because you brought it up, MVP Lamar Jackson, MVP Lamar Jackson.
All day long.
MVP Lamar, no.
Lamar, look a little further down south, I-95. The definition of MVP.
Look where?
I-95. Go down.
Which way? Up or down?
Down.
Jaden
Daniels. I love Lamar Jackson.
Which way you look.
But if the definition of MVP,
ocean,
where would the Washington Commanders be, guys, if Jaden Daniels wasn't the quarterback?
Where would the Baltimore Ravens be?
Yeah. Be kidding me.
See, this is what happens. This is like the LeBron discussion,
better
right?
in every category.
Lamar's competing with his yesterday's self.
He's great. I'm not taking anything away from Lamar Jackson. I'm just saying.
Yes, you are. You take MVP.
Taking his third MVP award. You reached into the cabinet and took it right away.
I'm not taking anything away from you.
Look at the transformational
You just
impact
got
that Jay
fatigued.
did.
Let him make
The problem is this, though. Lamar Jackson can't have that transformational impact that Jaden Daniels had because Lamar Jackson was on this team last year and also the MVP.
Didn't they play each other this year?
All right, we're going to continue this conversation.
Bart was killing it on that segment.
Tannenbaum didn't even have a chance to give his point. I don't know what the point is. I mean, you got the rookie of the year and the MVP. It's clear cut.
It's so clear cut. And by the way, it's like, you don't even want to like downplay what Jaden's doing. I mean, what he's doing is absolutely phenomenal, but it's more recent. Lamar turned around the Ravens too. How do you turn around something from when you were the MVP last year?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that shouldn't be, you know, totally what it is. Jaden Daniels is a sensation, but to Bart's point, they just played and Lamar Jackson outplayed him, and Lamar Jackson is better in almost every single statistical category. He's bailing out his defense week in and week out. It's absolutely clear, although much love to Jaden Daniels, and he absolutely is going to deserve that Rookie of the Year award.
Sarah, the numbers are endless, and I think one that certainly backs up his value are the numbers when trailing in games this season. Look at what he's done when trailing. We all saw what he did last night, down 21-7. But I'm talking about averaging over the season, a 78.3% adjusted completion rate, over 1,000 passing yards, 273 rushing yards, 11 touchdowns, and no picks. He's still only got 2 picks on the year, and one of them was a bobble from Rashad Bateman that hit him right in the breadbasket. So, you know, like, is that enough? I mean, is this enough? What about third down?
Give us more. Give us more stats here.
I mean, how much do you guys want? We have time. We have slides. You know, third down in the second half, got to have it downs. 7 for 7, 133 passing yards, 19 pass yards per attempt, 3 passing touchdowns, no picks, a perfect passer rating. That's something he's become familiar with. And look at this. Look at the intermediate game. Plus 18 expected points added on dropbacks after halftime. That's the second highest mark by a quarterback this season. The chart's beautiful. What about when trailing just yesterday? You saw the averages over the course of this season. What about trailing just last night? 17 of 22, 225 passing yards, 30 on the ground, 3 picks, 3 touchdowns, no picks.
And Bobby, just to go back to the trailing stuff.
Yeah.
You cannot overstate it because one of the knocks on the Ravens is that they couldn't come from behind to win, right? That was like 2019. And since then, that's kind of been the narrative. But when you're trailing in games and now you're a 78.3% completion percentage and you're putting up 11 touchdowns, no interceptions, and then all these rushing and passing yards, almost 1,300 when you're trailing. Bobby, when you have the defense that you have this year, this is going to be absolutely critical because you're not always going to be able to come from behind or you're not always going to be able to play with the lead, excuse me. And it's like, you're just not when like you blink an eye and Jamar Chase is in the end zone or any number of wide receivers. This is an absolutely important stat to be looking at. It says Lamar Jackson can come from behind.
Yes, he can. And he's executed 3 wins so far in 2024 alone through 10 weeks when the Ravens have trailed by at least 10 points. Used to be their Achilles heel. Now it's dirt off the shoulder. And look at where he is right now in terms of highest passer rating through 10 games of a season since 2000 with some elite company. Future and current Hall of Famers like Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, and Tom Brady. And we all know how much this guy wins at a aggressive clip. And Kyle Barber put together his record as a starter through the first 10 games throughout the Lamar era to date. He just wins. The last 4 seasons, he's began years at a 7-3 record, 2021 through 2024. 2020 was 6-4, and of course 19, his first year as a starter, 8-2, which they went on to rip off 6 straight after that and finish 14-2. He just wins. We know when he needs to actually win in terms of finalizing that resume, making it complete. But he wins, Sarah, and he wins early and often.
You showed some stats there of him comparing with some of the greats. Well, Bart Scott, this is the last one we'll have from Get Up. Bart Scott had the perfect analogy for Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes.
Now Lamar Jackson is 10-1 against the Bengals. Let's take a look at some of his numbers. 11 of 13, 3 passing touchdowns in the fourth quarter.
Alien.
And look at this. A year ago, he was the MVP. Now look at this year's numbers. How about 24 passing touchdowns, more rushing yards? He came in as the MVP favorite. You're shaking your head, RC.
Because I don't know what to say anymore, right? It's getting to the point that every week's going to be a Lamar Jackson praise fest. And I'm going to be honest, let's take away history and only focus on this season. He's the best player in the world. To me, that includes Patrick Mahomes, that includes Joe Burrow, and that includes any other non-quarterback you want to talk about in this conversation. It's only about winning a championship for Lamar Jackson right now. And based on his play, it's a no-brainer that they have everything offensively to do it. But if your defense can't stop a nosebleed, then you don't have a chance to beat a team like the Kansas City Chiefs who have a Patrick Mahomes, the Kansas City Chiefs who have a defense. And what makes me nervous is that Lamar Jackson wins his 3rd MVP. We know he's the runaway, at least this season, best player in the world. And he's still sitting at home watching with us on Super Bowl Sunday because of a defense that is inept.
Yeah. Right now, Lamar Jackson is Peyton Manning and Patrick Mahomes is Tom Brady.
Boom.
Yeah. And that's been
right?
that analogy's been used before, and I think it's accurate as of right now.
I think the Lamar to Peyton has been used a few times because people have been, Lamar supporters have been begging people to be patient with them, especially because he started out, so young in the league, and that, Peyton Manning didn't get his Super Bowls until I believe his 7th year, which is the same year that Lamar is in right now. And, he was, I don't know if he was criticized as much as Lamar is because
he was
it's just a different age. It's social media. It's where Lamar came from is like how the Ravens used him in terms of like running him more and all that kind of stuff. But yeah. And then at the time, Tom Brady was winning the rings. And so that's been Patrick Mahomes. And I sure hope, Lamar starts to catch up, and there's no better time than now. But they were absolutely right, and Marlon Humphrey's right. The defense has to get right for that to happen. They got to get right. So, I'm trying to think.
One other note. I wanted to add in another note here, just in terms of the variety that they're winning games offensively with. Bo Smolka noted wisely here that Tylan Wallace became the 6th different player to lead the Ravens in receiving yardage through 10 games. 6 different player. Tylan, Zay, Bateman, Justice, Nelly, Likely. So you really are getting contributions from a bunch of different guys in the passing game and not just specifically wide receivers. They've got pass catchers all over this offense. And whenever 16 gets involved in something that's non-special teams, I think everybody within the fan base has just sort of an affinity for Tylan because of how much of a team guy he really is.
Yeah, he is.
And man, there's something about that left sideline that he loves, isn't it?
Ooh, that tightrope.
How did he keep that foot in, Sarah?
Did
he stay in bounds?
Did you happen to go back and watch the punt return against the Rams since yesterday?
No, did you?
Oh, I did. Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure. I mean,
Just
you
to
can go-
compare the sideline?
Yes. And
Yeah.
it's crazy how many tackles he like broke or made people miss right down the sideline. Like it's crazy. It was actually more in the punt return.
That's awesome.
Because he's going up against the whole defending special teams unit coming from behind. But yeah, he has a knack for that. He has a knack for that. And by the way, in the post-game interview with Amazon Prime, they had asked Lamar a question about Zay Flowers.
Mhm.
And they said, how great is he? We know he didn't have a big game today, but how great is he? And he's like, oh, he's, talks about how good he is. He goes, but to me, he was big in this game. He goes, because you may not have seen it, but I saw that all eyes were on Flowers.
Mm.
And so he said it opened up things for everybody else, including the Tylan Wallace catch and run.
There you go.
So from
Not gonna
Lamar's
show up on the-
perspective, that was huge. Yeah.
Not going to show up on the score sheet, but Zay's sheer presence alone and what's looking like a Pro Bowl year in season number 2 is just as impactful as when he's directly involved with the football. Let's get to some super chats here before your final quick hit.
Okay.
Export and Port says, how long is left on Tylan's contract? Feed the man. Believe he's coming up on the end of his rookie contract. Tila says, giving Bate his flowers. Yeah, Rashad Bateman, I thought we did last night. Briefly, 6 receptions for 54 yards and a touchdown. He was targeted 8 times and just was clutch for Lamar, certainly.
Tylan Wallace is indeed in his final contract year of his rookie contract. But yeah, no, Bateman, here's what's great about Bateman and Lamar is we talked about last night how Lamar threw it before Bateman was even turned around. Like that was the on schedule anticipating throw that you can throw because you trust Bateman's going to get open. Yeah. But on the flip side, as much as we love to see that growth from Lamar, on the flip side, I like seeing the growth from Bateman in that he's been able to like adapt when things break down better. That was his touchdown pass with Lamar. Like they were communicating, Lamar was telling him where to go, and he was there. So as long as Bateman's not like dropping passes, he's been pretty good, Yeah. So just got to hold on to that ball.
Dream says this is the year Lamar needs to beat Pittsburgh.
Yes, please.
Brad says, I may have zero faith in Tucker's sketchy kicks. He needs a time machine and get back to Mr. Automatic. Because if it comes down to a kick for a win, yikes. Thor says,
I won't play it, but Tucker talks in the locker room. I won't play it because it's like a minute long. But basically, when they asked him about it, he's like, oh, I haven't had time to look at it yet, so I haven't been able to analyze it. But he was like, the only thing we can do is go back to work and work every single day. True.
Oof. 7th PAT miss of his career, first this year. And obviously the struggles are well documented from 50 plus.
Yeah.
Thor says, if I ever need a bodyguard, I'm hiring Bart Scott.
Can I say this about Bart Scott, by the way? Because there are some players that are super outgoing and cool on camera, but then behind closed doors, they're a little bit more like, kind of, and this is fine. Everybody's got their own personality, but kind of to themselves and whatever. Bart Scott was an absolute joy in the entire Ravens facility when he was there. And I remember him coming down to the business kind of wing of the practice facility. So it, Bobby, like there's the whole business side to your right when you're first walking in. And then there's the auditorium, there's the position rooms, and then there's the cafeteria, and then the locker room, and then all the fields and whatnot. Bart Scott, I remember coming down with a bunch of clothes and shoes that his kids had grown out of. And when I tell you, he had bought them like these little Jordans for toddlers, like he had the sweetest clothes. And he'd come down and donate them. And we loved it. We were like, yeah, we would love to have like these name brand clothes for our toddlers that I wouldn't have paid for otherwise. Yeah. Like he was just such a fun and nice guy to be around. Like as intense as he is, you'd think that maybe he'd be mean or like he's just the nicest dude. He shoots you straight. He's completely authentic, but also authentically nice. Like I just wanted to give him props because I loved it when he was in the building.
Well, let's put him on a short list then for guests.
Oh yeah.
Let's try and get him.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Export and Port says, morning, Bobby and Sarah and Flock. I found out the hard way last night. Vault podcasts are not good white noise videos. I watched them full. Stayed up until 3, so you were on our time. Also on man coverage, I said pregame stream, Burrow struggles versus man, and that's what ended up happening, at least in a smaller sample size than what he did against zone. Wildlife says 2012 defense was ranked 20th after the regular season going into the postseason. Dream says the Ravens secondary's got to be present when Jamar Chase sits down for contract negotiations. Embarrassing. I believe that was the second time. Yeah. So Dreams gets 2 because of my ineptitude. Thomas Bowen says our defense can win in the playoffs with Lamar.
Correction. The Ravens can win in the playoffs with Lamar, not the defense.
Thor says,
unless you're saying put Lamar back there at safety, I actually think he'd be pretty good. Let's go back to high school days where you're playing both ways. Let's pull out a Pat Ricard, right? Play both
Travis
ways.
Hunter.
Lamar Jackson for safety.
Where are you at, Travis Hunter? Thor says we're just going to ignore Henry mooning the world. No, I tweeted it.
No, I didn't want to. I wanted to be respectful because
not the photo of it, but
you tweeted about it. But like I've seen it all over on my timeline. Henry's not that kind of guy. Henry's like a private guy. He's about his business. He likes to be respectful. I just get the impression that I don't think he wants his booty all over the internet, although there's no change in that. And so if it were me, I'd be like, please stop sharing that. Please stop sharing it. And I could be wrong, but that's the vibe I get from Henry. So I haven't mentioned it because I wanted to be respectful to him and his family.
Dream says, so last season, the offense failed the defense in the playoffs. Now this season, the defense is failing the offense. We need balance. And Truth Bearer says, Peyton didn't win until year 9 and had privilege of Harrison and Wayne early in his career. Lamar is MJ, year 7, age 27, breaking up a 3-peat to start his own. All right.
Is it year 9? Feels really late.
Over 2,600 of you joining us concurrently as Sarah takes a close look at that. Dreams and Ross Tromans are this episode's Patreon shout-out sponsors of ours because of the support that they give us. We appreciate you guys being part of the Vault Patreon community. If you're interested in doing the same, you can support us for as little as $1.99 this football season by visiting patreon.com/RavensVault podcast. All that information can be found in the show notes below.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, he's right.
Year number 9, he won his first Super Bowl.
It wasn't year 7, which is what I thought it was. It's 2007. It might even be more than that. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 9 because 2007 would have been at the end of the 2000. Yes, year 9. He's right. I love chat sometimes.
Chat's always got us.
Yeah.
Exporting says, no, I'm in California, Bobby. I'm on Pacific time.
I'd like to know, chat, how many hours of sleep did you get last night? Just let us know.
Give us a number.
Bobby's running on 2 hours. I'm running on 3. But yeah, while you guys let us know, I'm going to play this one little clip from Baldy and what he caught on Tylan Wallace's catch and run to the end zone. This is funny.
We all watched this play last night on 3rd and 2. Ravens down 21-14 when Lamar throws this routine speed out to Tylan Wallace, and he goes 84 yards to pay dirt, breaking tackles of Geno Stone and Logan Wilson. All right, we all saw it. But what I saw this morning was the Ravens have a get-back coach. So right here, when Wallace breaks this tackle, the Ravens have a coach that basically says, get back, no interference. And like he's running and he's hustling and he's making sure nobody interferes with Tylan Wallace. They got a get-back coach. And he stops right there at the end of the box. All right? But he did his job. Like everybody's got to do their job. The Ravens got a get-back coach doing his job, making sure nobody interferes with the touchdown catch and run of Tylan Wallace.
Oh, man.
That impressed me.
That was funny. Because like he was so into it. There was a certain form, Bobby. I don't know about what the form was with the running. Like he just had very wide legs, and obviously he needed to be wide though, right? Because he's trying to get people to get back. And all the players are like, "All right, coach," but they're still trying to see Tylen running it back. So I thought that was like. Okay, so on the Ravens facility, almost everywhere you look, in all the position rooms, there's a sign that says, "Do your job." It's plastered everywhere.
Yeah.
That man right there is taking his job seriously. I am doing my job. You guys are going to get back, and we're not going to get penalized here.
The Ravens have a get-back coach.
Get back, coach.
He says a get-back coach.
Sorry to be in people's business, but I am genuinely curious how much you could get paid for being a get-back coach.
Heck yeah.
Or is it one of the Ravens firemen? You know the firemen there, right, Bobby?
Yes.
There's like guys that are firemen but come and work for the Ravens part-time and do just all sorts of different duties. Like they're literally everywhere. Like they'll help out in the mail room, they'll help out in the equipment room, they'll help out at practice. They'll be like the sticks guys at sometimes they'll throw some passes. I mean, it's like they do everything, and they're the coolest guys in the world. If that get back coach is a fireman, it would not surprise me whatsoever.
One more super chat donation. Export and Port says 2 hours of sleep, but I have twin identical girls, newborns. Yeah, so that probably feels like 2 minutes, not 2 hours. But
so lots of people here, like most people, like in the 4 to 6 kind of area of sleep. Who did I see said they got 10? Yeah, Dante M said he got 10.
Dante,
pretty nice,
bro.
What time did you go to bed? What time did you wake up?
Big dog? You must not watch the fourth quarter.
Or he did, but didn't have to get up this morning.
Dang.
You know what I mean? He may have gotten up for the show. For all we know.
I think the last time I got 10 was in my 20s.
As you're like 6 months into your 30s.
I was waiting for you to catch that. Oh, man. Well,
yeah, Dante said he's off today.
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah. Enjoy it. Mr. Super Chat?
That's what he says. Export and Port.
Let's see.
Go find that.
Export and Port. Where is it at? Export and Port.
Guess I could help you look. I don't see anything.
That goes without saying. All 35 of you who dropped in Super Chat donations. Appreciate you guys. Very, very generous. Yeah, maybe it was last night. I don't know. But thanks, Exporting. You're the guy. Layla's like, you're still on. I know we're still on.
Yeah.
I know we're still on. I'm just, look, I'm it's getting to that point where my body's starting to shut down here a little bit. So got some family in town. We got a wedding tomorrow and stuff. Joe Jenkins says, I love it when Sarah gets excited about Lamar and the Ravens. Sorry, Mark Ingram. We have a new hype person.
I do not compare.
Certainly give Mark a run for his money.
Mark Ingram. Oh, well, let's get Mark on the show. Oh, imagine the energy.
Yeah.
Mark, Bart Scott, let's go.
Yeah, huge fan of.
We do need to reach out to Bart, though, considering what's going on in defense.
Yeah.
Considering he's a defensive person. How do we get a hold of him? We're gonna have to think about that.
We'll get inside our vault a little bit. See if we can cook something up. So mini bye week has arrived. So enjoy yourselves, guys. Enjoy your non-Ravens football weekend. Always good to do that after a win, obviously. And the next time they'll be in action is November 17th on the road in Pittsburgh against the Steelers, who are 6-2 right now. So looking forward to that. Partner, hope you have an awesome weekend. You and I will be back on Monday, of course, for a Ravens Lunch Hour live stream and hopefully a standard, pretty normal week. It was a busy one.
As brutal as Thursday nights are, it'll be fun on Sunday to just go watch football, knowing you've got a W in your pocket and you just want to go watch the Browns and potentially the Steelers lose. Who are the Steelers playing again? Do you like it when you're exhausted and you're trying to close the show and then I extend it?
No, I'm not upset. Like I told you in the
they play the Commanders.
Look.
Let's go, Jaden. Go play like the MVP that Mike thinks that you are.
During our pre-show call, like you and I usually have a lot of enthusiasm together.
Yeah.
when I tell you that I can't even like manufacture any of that right now, like it's just that's just like straight up how it is.
My favorite part of our pre-show call was I was like, hey, we haven't talked to each other in like a whole 7 hours. And I was like, what have you been doing since then? Like wondering if you'd gotten any sleep and wondering how many shows you put up on your personal account. And this was this was your answer. You couldn't form a sentence. And you're like, don't you worry, I'll be ready by showtime.
It's just tough when like a Thursday night falls on a week where not only did you have the deadline, but also it's back-to-back home games. I think people forget, with you being in Columbus and the commitment that I made to be more around town.
Yeah.
Home games are significantly more challenging than away games because of the effort that it takes as a one-man band to get out to the tailgate.
For sure.
And go do my show in chaos. I love it. But there were 2 of them within 5 days.
Right.
And that was tough. And so
and you have company in the house, which is also draining.
Yeah, I don't have my bedroom right now. Tori and my sister and her boyfriend are in there. My mom's here, and then Tilly had some issues last night at 4 when I went out to let her out. And then I did a live stream this morning. So it's all good.
How many shows have you done personally? So you've done one other show, and you post all of our stuff, and you didn't get your workout in.
Yeah, and I've had too many. I've had too many ghosts. I have a headache. My body's shaking. I mean, it's not. This is not a healthy thing. This is not going to continue. So
yeah,
Thor, no. See, here's
Thor,
the thing.
Come on, bro.
Like. You're the only one. You know what, Thor? You're the only one that's not reading the room right now. Come on, guy.
Come on, man.
I love this, which is why this is why I'm putting myself through this, because I love what we do.
Right.
And at some point when family's down the line, Madison and I have a picket fence and all that stuff. Kidding. When all those things happen and life takes me in that direction, I'm not going to be able to go at this rate. So there will be changes that, that need to be made to make things more efficient.
You want to read that super chat?
Oh yeah, this is probably too hot, Dad. I'm sure this is a part of it. Just a minute, Bobby. You're 30 and old now. Maybe.
What does that make me at 44?
Maybe. You are.
If I'm 14 years older than you and he's calling you old.
You're an enigma. Because nobody thinks that you're that old. And what I mean by that is you're not that old. Meaning like nobody thinks you're your age.
Gotcha. Yeah. Except for my kids. They joke around a lot about it. But yeah. You were born in the 1900s, Mom.
That's hysterical. Those kids. Well, awesome week, guys.
Awesome week. It really was an awesome week. Broncos win. Bengals win. All within 5 days. Got 10 days off. Go get healthy. And let's find out how Kyle Hamilton is on Monday. That's where we're at. And
Thor says I whine a lot about being tired. Thor, you're the king whiner. You're the king of whining, and you know it.
And here comes the late super chats, of course.
You know it, too.
Nah. Yeah, right.
Captain.
I wouldn't have a 15-year-old if I were in my 20s. I guess I could if I was 29.
Technically. You never know. So,
all right, man. Well, I hope you get plenty of rest, plenty of sleep, and I know you'll be back with energy on Monday. And I don't know what you plan. Are you going to do more personal shows?
Yeah, I don't know. I got to see what the family's up to. Obviously, have to sleep at some point. And the other thing is it's a beautiful day, so you can always kind of get rejuvenated when you step out inside November 8th and it's 70 degrees and sunny. So, and not a cloud in the sky. So, look forward to that. But
all right.
But yeah, I hope you guys all enjoy your weekends. Please like the video for us if you enjoyed today's show. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you can be notified of when we're dropping our daily live content. You can support us and our brand partner Manta Sleep by clicking on the link that we have included in the top of the show notes. It's also in the live chat. And you can join the Vault Patreon community by visiting the show notes. Sarah, you and I'll be back on Monday, as we've already referenced. And I think we're fully caught up speed with our – oh, nope. Yeah, that Mike says you don't look a day over 21. So everybody's giving you your flowers. And, yeah, partner, great being with you. Awesome week.
Awesome week. Say hello to the family for me.
You do the same.
All right.
Enjoy yourselves, guys. And as always, thanks for joining us on this day after Victory Friday.
Boom. You
Enjoy
nailed
your
it.
weekends.
Nailed it.
Right. That's right. That's what we do to close things out. Week 10 has commenced. Get to watch a lot of football this weekend. Enjoy yourselves. And as always, thanks for joining us here inside the Vault. We'll talk soon.